Have you ever met someone whose presence seems to shift the air around you? You can't explain it, but when he's near, everything feels a little different. Quieter, warmer, more alive. It's not something dramatic or obvious. It's subtle, like the way his eyes linger a moment too long or how your laughter feels deeper when he's the one listening. Love, when it's real, rarely begins with grand gestures or poetic confessions. It begins in silence, in glances, in pauses, in the small spaces between words. It's the kind of connection that grows quietly beneath the surface, until one day you realize it's been there all along. Sometimes, a man won't say the words you long to hear, not because he doesn't feel them, but because he feels them too much. Real emotion can make even the strongest men retreat into silence. They fear that speaking it aloud might somehow make it too real, or worse, make them vulnerable. So instead of saying, "I love you," he watches over you in ways that don't need words. He remembers your stories, your moods, your dreams. He listens without interrupting. He notices when something's off, even when you try to hide it. His love hides in the details, in the texts he sends to check if you got home safe, in the way he listens when you talk about your day, in how he looks at you like you're the calm in his storm. Psychologists say that when people truly care, their behavior becomes a mirror of emotional attachment. They begin to tune themselves to the other person's rhythms, matching energy, noticing subtle cues, protecting what feels fragile. That's why love in its truest form doesn't always need to be declared. It's revealed through patterns, through consistency, through quiet devotion that words could never capture. And for men, especially, love often shows up not in what they say, but in what they do. If you've ever been with a man who seems calm on the surface but whose eyes give him away, you know this kind of love. You've felt it in his nervous laughter, in the gentle way he corrects himself after saying something that might hurt, in the way he pays attention to your comfort, even when no one else does. His silence doesn't mean he's not feeling. It means he's feeling deeply. Some men love like an ocean, vast, quiet, steady. And if you're not paying attention, you might mistake stillness for absence. But beneath that surface is depth, devotion, and an unspoken promise. I care more than I can say. This kind of love is powerful because it's built on more than attraction. It's built on emotional safety. When a man feels safe enough to let his guard down, to show tenderness instead of control, that's when love becomes real. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's pure. And in that quiet, honest space, everything speaks. His eyes, his actions, his silence. In this video, we'll explore 10 deep signs he's in love with you and scared to lose you. The subtle signals that reveal his heart before his words ever do. Because sometimes love doesn't shout, it whispers. You just have to know how to listen. His eyes soften when he looks at you, even when he tries to hide it. When a man's eyes soften when he looks at you, even if he tries to hide it, that's one of the purest signs of deep, genuine love. Eyes are the one part of the body that rarely lie. You can control your words, your tone, even your smile, but not your eyes. They reveal what's going on inside the heart, no matter how hard someone tries to keep it hidden. When a man looks at you and his gaze softens, it's not just attraction or admiration. It's something deeper, something that lives between affection and vulnerability. It's the way his pupils widen slightly when he sees you, the quiet warmth that replaces the usual guarded expression he shows the rest of the world. It's the look of someone whose emotions have already crossed the line between liking and loving. That softness isn't about weakness, it's about surrender. It's a silent confession that he feels something powerful, something he might not yet be ready to say aloud. You may catch it in fleeting moments, when you're talking about something you love, when you're laughing without realizing he's watching, or when you turn around unexpectedly and your eyes meet. For a brief second, his guard drops and his eyes tell you everything he's afraid to speak. He might quickly look away or change the subject, pretending nothing happened, but that moment lingers. The eyes are windows to emotion, and in love, they're like open doors he keeps trying to close gently, hoping you don't notice how much he feels. Psychologists say prolonged or softened eye contact is a subconscious way of forming emotional bonds. When a man's gaze softens, it's his nervous system responding to emotional safety. You've become someone who makes him feel calm, understood, and connected. That look carries both admiration and fear, because love makes people vulnerable. When he looks at you that way, he's not just seeing you, he's feeling you. Every glance becomes a quiet exchange of trust, longing, and tenderness. And even if he never says the words, you'll know. You'll feel it in the warmth of his gaze, in the way time seems to slow for a moment. That look is his heart showing through, a silent whisper saying, "You matter to me more than you know." It's the kind of look that can't be faked, because when a man truly loves you, his eyes always tell the truth before his lips ever do. He checks on you more often than he admits. Small texts, small questions, constant care. When a man checks on you more often than he admits, sending small texts, asking simple questions, or showing quiet concern, it's not just habit or politeness. It's love in disguise. Real care doesn't always come wrapped in grand gestures or dramatic declarations. Sometimes it hides in the smallest, most consistent actions. When he messages you just to ask if you got home safe, or wonders if you've eaten, or brings up something you mentioned days ago, that's his heart speaking through everyday words. Those little check-ins are his way of staying connected to you, of making sure you're okay without revealing how much he worries when he doesn't hear from you. Men who truly love often express it through action instead of confession. He may not say, "I miss you," but he'll ask, "How's your day going?" He may not declare, "I was thinking about you," but he'll send a meme that made him smile because it reminded him of you. Those gestures might seem casual, but they're deeply intentional. They're small bridges he builds to stay close while protecting his vulnerability. Every text, every little question is a quiet reassurance that you're on his mind, more often than he's ready to admit. Psychologists call this attachment behavior. When someone forms an emotional bond, they seek connection and reassurance from the person they care about. Checking in becomes a subconscious way to feel emotionally close, even from a distance. It's not about control or curiosity. It's about comfort. Your presence, even through a phone screen, brings him peace. That's why he'll notice if you sound tired, if your tone changes, or if you take longer than usual to reply. To him, those details matter because you matter. This kind of care is powerful because it's consistent. It doesn't demand attention or praise. It simply exists quietly in the background like a heartbeat. And when a man does this, it means he's already emotionally invested. He's not just checking in for updates. He's checking in for connection. It's his way of saying, "I'm here," without saying the words out loud. So when he asks small things that seem ordinary, "Did you sleep well? How's your day going? Made it home okay?" Don't dismiss them as casual. Those are his love letters in disguise, tiny fragments of affection hidden in simple words. Because for him, every question is really one quiet truth. I care about you more than I can say. He gets nervous when you talk about other men, jealousy mixed with fear of losing you. When a man truly loves you, even if he hasn't said it, you'll notice something subtle in his behavior whenever you mention another man. His expression changes. Sometimes it's just a flicker in his eyes, a small pause before he responds, or a nervous laugh that doesn't quite match his tone. That's not about control or possessiveness. It's a quiet mix of jealousy and fear. Deep down, he worries that someone else might see what he sees in you, your warmth, your kindness, your light, and that they might take the place in your heart he secretly dreams of having. This kind of nervousness isn't loud or dramatic. He won't start arguments or make accusations. Instead, he might suddenly grow quieter, change the subject, or make a subtle joke to mask how uncomfortable he feels. It's the body's natural response when emotions become overwhelming. Psychologists say jealousy, when it comes from love and not insecurity, often arises from fear of loss, the fear of losing emotional closeness with someone who means more than words can express. For him, the thought of another man making you smile the way he wishes he could is enough to stir something deep inside. When a man loves silently, he walks a fine line between wanting to be calm and feeling anxious. He doesn't want to appear possessive or push you away by showing too much emotion, so he hides it behind humor or indifference. But inside, his heart beats faster, his mind fills with questions. Does she like him? Does he make her laugh more than I do? These thoughts are his way of processing emotions he hasn't found the courage to confess. You might catch him doing small things after these moments, trying a bit harder to make you laugh, complimenting you more, or subtly showing the best version of himself. That's not competition. That's his heart trying to remind you that he's there, quietly hoping you'll notice. His jealousy isn't about control, it's about care. It comes from valuing you so deeply that the idea of losing your affection feels unbearable. So, when you notice that tiny shift, the nervous smile, the quick change of subject, the subtle tension, Know that it's not irritation you're seeing, but emotion. It's his love trying to stay composed while his heart whispers what he still can't say aloud. I'm afraid of losing you, because you already mean too much. Here. He remembers the smallest details, because everything about you feels important. When a man is in love, his memory becomes selective in the most beautiful way. He may forget his own appointments or where he left his keys, but when it comes to you, nothing slips through the cracks. He remembers the smallest things, the way you take your coffee, the song that makes you smile, the story you told once about your childhood, or even the exact words you used when you were nervous. Those details become imprinted in his mind, not because he's trying to impress you, but because everything about you feels important. Love sharpens attention. Psychologists explain that when we're emotionally invested, our brain releases dopamine whenever we're around the person we care about. This heightens focus, making even tiny details seem vivid and memorable. So when he recalls that you hate the smell of a certain perfume, or that you once mentioned your favorite flower, it's not coincidence. It's connection. His heart and mind are working together, quietly cataloging the things that make you, you. This attention often shows up in subtle gestures. He might surprise you with your favorite snack after a stressful day, remember your friend's name even though you mentioned it once, or bring up a small dream you shared weeks ago. These actions may seem ordinary, but they reveal something extraordinary. He listens with his heart. Every detail he remembers becomes a thread in the tapestry of how he experiences you. It's his way of showing, I see you, I hear you, you matter to me. Sometimes he'll recall things you've long forgotten, a passing comment, a small joke, or a moment you didn't think stood out. That's because to him, every moment with you stands out. His memory isn't about facts, it's about feelings. When he remembers, he's really reliving how you made him feel. Safe, inspired, understood. When a man treasures your details, he's revealing his depth of affection. He doesn't need grand gestures or constant declarations to prove his love. His consistency does it for him. The truth is, remembering is an act of love, a quiet devotion that says, you matter enough for me to notice everything that makes you who you are. In his eyes, the smallest pieces of your world are precious because they belong to the person who's quietly become the center of his far. He supports you, silently, proud of you even when he doesn't say it out loud. When a man truly loves you, his support often comes quietly, without the need for recognition or praise. He may not always say the words, I'm proud of you, but you'll feel it in the way he listens, encourages, and stands behind you when life gets heavy. His love isn't loud, it's steady. It shows up in his patience, in his willingness to be there without asking for attention, and in the small ways he reminds you that you're capable, even when you doubt yourself. This kind of support isn't about show, it's about soul. He watches you chase your dreams, and though he might not always say much, inside he's beaming with pride. Every success you have feels like his own victory, and every setback you face stirs something protective in him. Psychologists say that men who are emotionally invested often express love through acts of service and silent encouragement. They may not verbalize their feelings easily, but they show it through consistent presence, by doing what needs to be done, by stepping in quietly when you need help, and by believing in you even when you lose confidence in yourself. You might notice it in the way he celebrates your achievements, not with grand gestures but with genuine joy. The look in his eyes when you tell him good news, the softness in his tone when he says, I knew you could do it. And when you're struggling, he doesn't try to fix everything or lecture you. Instead, he offers calm reassurance, giving you space to find your strength again. That's because real love doesn't compete, it uplifts. Sometimes love speaks loudest in silence. He might not say how proud he is because he doesn't want to seem overbearing, or he doesn't know how to put it into words. But you'll see it in his actions, the way he checks in before a big day, the way he listens when you vent, or the way he subtly helps you prepare for something important. He believes in your potential because he sees your worth more clearly than you do. His quiet support is his love in motion. It's his heart saying, I'm here. I see you. I'm proud of you, even when his lips remain still. And that kind of love, the kind that strengthens you without overshadowing you, is rare, powerful, and real. He opens up emotionally, but only with you, because he feels safe around your presence. When a man opens up emotionally, it's not something he does lightly. Most men are taught to be strong, composed, and in control, so when he lets his guard down around you, it means something profound. It means he feels safe, not just physically, but emotionally. You've become the person with whom he can finally breathe without pretending, someone who doesn't judge him for his fears or flaws. When he shares pieces of his heart that he hides from the rest of the world, his insecurities, his childhood pain, his quiet dreams, that's not just trust, it's love. For a man, vulnerability is one of the hardest things to show. Psychologists say men often associate emotional openness with risk because it exposes their inner world, the parts they usually protect. So when he talks about what scares him, what keeps him up at night, or what he truly wants from life, it means he's crossed a boundary he rarely lets anyone near. It's not casual. It's a silent declaration that you're different, that your presence makes him feel understood in ways he can't explain. You'll notice it in small ways first. Maybe he starts sharing more about his day, his worries, or his opinions that he usually keeps to himself. Then slowly he opens up deeper, about things that matter, about what hurts. He might talk about his past mistakes, his fears of failure, or how he doesn't feel good enough sometimes. And when he does, it's not because he's weak. It's because he trusts that you'll hold those confessions with gentleness. You've become his safe space, the calm in his storm. Emotional openness is one of the strongest signs of love because it means he's letting you see him, not just the confident, composed version, but the real, unfiltered man underneath. Around you, he doesn't need to perform. He can laugh freely, admit uncertainty, or show sadness without fear of judgment. That level of comfort only comes when love and emotional security intertwine. So when he talks to you in ways he doesn't with anyone else, cherish it. It's a sacred form of intimacy, one built not on words but on trust. His openness isn't weakness, it's the highest compliment his heart can give. Because in you, he's found what every man secretly longs for, a woman who makes him feel seen, safe, and understood. He worries about disappointing you. Love makes him careful with your heart. When a man truly loves you, one of the clearest signs is how careful he becomes with your heart. He may not always say it, but deep down he worries about disappointing you, about not living up to the image you have of him, about failing to be the person you deserve. It's not about insecurity. It's about care. Love gives him a sense of responsibility, not in a burdensome way, but in a way that makes him want to protect what he values most. Your trust, your smile, your belief in him. You'll see it in his small hesitations before he speaks, in the way he double-checks his words during an argument, or how he apologizes even for things that seem minor. Psychologists call this empathic attunement, the ability to sense and respond to another person's emotional needs. When a man is in love, this awareness heightens. He becomes more sensitive to your reactions, more tuned into your moods, not because he's walking on eggshells, but because your happiness matters deeply to him. He might ask, "Did I say something wrong?" Or "Are you okay?" Not out of anxiety, but genuine concern. He pays attention to how you feel after he says or does something because to him, your emotional well-being is a reflection of how well he's loving you. That's the difference between a man who likes you and one who truly loves you. Love makes him careful. He doesn't want his pride, impatience, or stubbornness to hurt the bond he cherishes. You'll also notice that he takes your opinions to heart. If you're disappointed, it stays with him longer than he admits. He might go quiet, replaying what went wrong, thinking of how to make it right. It's not about guilt, it's about value. You've become someone whose feelings carry weight in his world. When he sees disappointment in your eyes, it touches him because he wants to be your source of comfort, not pain. This kind of emotional caution is love's quiet language. It says, "I see how fragile trust can be, and I don't want to break it." So when you notice that he's thoughtful, that he takes his time to respond instead of reacting, or that he checks on your feelings after conflict, know that it's not fear driving him, but devotion. Love makes him gentle, and gentleness is how a man silently says, "You matter more than my ego." He finds excuses to be near you. Proximity comforts his fear of losing you. When a man is in love, his need to be close to you isn't always something he can explain. It's instinctive. He'll find subtle, often innocent reasons to be around you. Dropping by unexpectedly, sitting near you even when there's plenty of space elsewhere, or joining in on plans just because you'll be there. To anyone else, it might seem casual, but to him, proximity is peace. Being near you quiets the constant hum of longing in his chest. It reassures him that you're still within reach, still part of his world, still his safe place. Love creates what psychologists call proximity-seeking behavior, a subconscious drive to stay close to the person who brings emotional security. It's the same instinct that makes us reach for what feels safe and familiar when we're uncertain. When he loves you, your presence becomes that safety. Even a few minutes together can reset his mood, calm his thoughts, and remind him of what truly matters. So he lingers, he offers to help with small things, joins you for errands, or finds excuses to start a conversation, all just to keep you close a little longer. You'll notice it in the small ways. How he shows up in your favorite spaces, how his body naturally leans in when you speak, how he seems to appear when you need someone most. None of it feels forced because it isn't. It's his heart guiding him, not his logic. Every second near you becomes a quiet comfort, a way of saying, I'm here even if I don't know how to say what I feel. And sometimes this closeness isn't about touch, it's about energy. He feels calmer when you're in the same room, more centered when your laughter fills the air. Even in silence, the simple act of sharing space makes him feel connected. It's a kind of emotional gravity. He's drawn to you without even realizing it. He might never admit it, but his excuses aren't random. They're his way of protecting the bond he's afraid to lose. The thought of distance, emotional or physical, makes him uneasy, so he bridges it the only way he knows how, by being near. To him, proximity isn't just presence, it's reassurance. It's his quiet way of saying, I feel okay when you're close. Don't go too far because I don't want to imagine my world without you in it. He apologizes first, not because he's weak, but because he values peace over ego. When a man truly loves you, his pride begins to soften in ways it never did before. You'll notice it most clearly in the moments of tension or misunderstanding, those times when emotions run high, and silence could easily turn into distance. Instead of clinging to being right, he chooses to be kind. Instead of letting his ego win, he reaches for peace. When he apologizes first, it's not because he's weak or submissive. It's because he's emotionally mature enough to know that love is worth more than the satisfaction of winning an argument. Apologizing first is one of the purest signs of care. It means he values the relationship more than his pride. Psychologists describe this as emotional intelligence in attachment, the ability to regulate emotions and prioritize connection over control. When he says, I'm sorry, he's not admitting defeat. He's expressing love in its most human form. It's his way of saying, I'd rather fix this with you than protect my ego without you. He may pause before apologizing, gathering his thoughts, swallowing his pride, but he always comes back. Because losing harmony with you feels heavier than any disagreement. His tone softens, his eyes search for understanding, and even if the words don't come out perfectly, you'll feel the sincerity in them. That's because he's not just trying to end the argument. He's trying to restore the connection. When a man is in love, silence after conflict doesn't bring him peace. It brings him restlessness. He replays the argument in his mind, wondering if he said too much, if he hurt you, if you're still upset. It's not fear driving him, it's empathy. He can't bear the thought that his words might have wounded the person he wants to protect. So he reaches out first, even when part of him still believes he wasn't wrong. Because keeping distance from you feels worse than being misunderstood. This kind of apology isn't just about making things right. It's about showing emotional priority. He understands that being right doesn't build love, but being humble does. Love makes him want peace more than pride, connection more than control. So when he takes that first step toward you after conflict, see it for what it truly is. Not a sign of weakness, but a quiet declaration that your heart matters more than his ego ever will. His silence speaks volumes. When he's quiet, it's not distance, it's depth. When a man truly loves you, his silence is never empty. It carries weight, emotion, and meaning far deeper than words could express. Many people mistake a man's quietness for indifference. But when love runs deep, silence often becomes his language. When he's with you and doesn't speak much, it's not because he's distant. It's because being near you makes him feel something beyond explanation. In those quiet moments, he's absorbing your presence, memorizing your expressions, and feeling grateful in a way words would only diminish. Psychologists say silence and emotional connection can be a sign of emotional attunement, a state where two people are so connected that words become secondary. When he's quiet, he's not disengaged. He's feeling everything all at once. He's processing, reflecting, and sometimes protecting emotions that feel too raw to expose. You might find him sitting beside you, lost in thought, his gaze soft, his breathing slower. What's happening in those moments is connection, unspoken yet powerful. When a man loves deeply, silence can also be a form of vulnerability. Men aren't always taught to express feelings openly, so sometimes they love best through presence rather than speech. That quietness is his way of grounding himself in you. He's afraid that if he says too much, he'll reveal just how much power you have over his heart. So he lets silence carry the message instead. And if you listen closely, you'll feel it. The warmth, the safety, the quiet admiration behind every unspoken pause. You'll notice that his silence feels different from anyone else's. It's not awkward or cold. It's peaceful. It feels like a space where both of you can simply exist without needing to fill the air. That's because real love doesn't always need constant conversation. It needs comfort. And when a man reaches that level of comfort with you, it means he's no longer performing, he's simply being. So the next time he goes quiet, don't rush to fill the silence or assume he's pulling away. Look at him instead. Notice the softness in his eyes, the calmness in his energy. His silence isn't absence, it's depth. It's his heart quietly saying, I don't need words to feel close to you. I already am.